Hey guys, welcome back to the Rauf Report. I am Brian Rauf with Chat Sports here, bringing you up to date on all the latest news and rumors from around the college basketball world. We're officially in March, which means it's college basketball season. We're going to touch on some on-court happenings later on in the show, but first we're going to talk about some major off-court happenings with relation to the FBI investigation, specifically at Arizona. Now, if you remember, on Friday, a report from ESPN's Mark Schlabach came out about an FBI wiretap that caught Sean Miller in a phone conversation arranging a $100,000 payment to secure the commitment of five-star center and now projected number one overall pick Deandre Ayton in order to ensure his commitment to Arizona. Now, there's been some doubt being cast about that report and if the facts of that case or if that report are actually accurate. ESPN has changed the report, the facts in the report, from the call being made, was originally reported in the spring of 2017 to the year of 2016. Now, Deandre Ayton committed to Arizona in the spring of 2016, didn't sign, obviously, with the Wildcats until 2017, but those changes in the report have raised some eyebrows. New information discovered by 247 Sports also shows that Christian Dawkins, one of the 10 people arrested when the FBI released their initial findings way back in September, only had his phone tapped from June 19th through September 25th of 2017. So none of the supposed wiretaps, none of the dates ESPN had in the report about this supposed wiretap between Miller and Christian Dawkins occurred in that time frame. And of course, another thing 247 Sports found was that Dawkins was never associated with Ayton or his recruitment. Every big-time recruit normally has a guy who runs his recruitment, and Dawkins was not that guy for Ayton. Of course, there are other factors that could be in play here. While ESPN's report may not be factually correct to the T, as we've seen from this 247 Sports report now contradicting them, we all know that even though Ayton committed to Arizona in 2016, the recruiting process doesn't stop until you're signed, and he did not sign until the signing period in 2017, which is in that time when Dawkins' phone was being wiretapped. And although Dawkins wasn't Ayton's guy, he has reportedly been in a major player and had major access to the Arizona program, so it's very plausible he could have made an approach to Ayton on behalf of Arizona. All these facts will need to come out. We need to wait and see what happens, but it's clear that ESPN's report may not be exactly right to the T. Now, further discussing Sean Miller, the Arizona Board of Regents has called a meeting today at 4 p.m. Eastern Time to discuss his future with the program. The board is calling the meeting to hold it for, quote, legal advice and discussion regarding the University of Arizona's men's basketball and the multi-year employment contract for the head men's basketball coach, a.k.a. Sean Miller. They're basically trying to figure out what they can do legally about him and his contract and what his future with the program will be if there is one. Now, Miller has not coached since the ESPN report broke on Friday. He did not coach in Saturday's loss to Oregon. They play again tonight, which is why I think they wanted to make this decision today. So he's only missed one game. If they decide that he's the guy, if they decide he's the guy they want to have going forward, we'll see him on the sidelines tonight, I would assume. But if not, we could see him be fired essentially within the next 12 hours or so. Now, I'm going to bring in a reaction poll here. Do you think, with what we know, should Sean Miller keep his job? Obviously, facts can change. We may not know the entire story one way or the other here, but give us your thoughts. Give us a heart for yes and a like for no. Do you think Sean Miller should keep his job with what we know now? All this thought has had some impact on Arizona on the recruiting trail as four-star power forward Shareef O'Neal, son of Shaquille O'Neal, decommitted from Arizona over the weekend after the ESPN report came out and Miller decided he wasn't going to coach until the matter was situated. He has since committed to UCLA, which is big for the Bruins, and now gives the Bruins 6 commitments in its 2018 class, 5 of whom, including O'Neal, rank in the top 72 nationally. So Steve Alford doing a great job retooling the Bruins, who had a bit of a rebuilding year this year, a bit of a step back after losing Lonzo Ball and TJ Leaf and the guys that helped them make the Sweet 16 last year. Shareef O'Neal to UCLA, going to help bolster their recruiting class and hopefully help UCLA make the NCAA tournament next year. Another thing that we've seen, speaking of the NCAA tournament, an idea has come up presented by ESPN's Jay Williams and Jalen Rose, an idea that players should boycott the Final Four because they say it's the only way we're going to see real change from the NCAA, is the players taking some of this power back, which they can only do by sitting out of games. No players have mentioned doing so. No players have talked about the idea of doing so, but it's an idea that's been presented by a couple of ESPN's more prominent basketball analysts, so it's something that has gained some sort of traction. I don't know if we'll ever see players boycott the Final Four, because everybody wants to play in the Final Four, and when you're there, you're playing for a national championship, which is a major, major goal in all of these players' basketball careers. I don't think we'll see that, but it's an interesting idea. It's obvious the NCAA needs to have some sort of reform, fix these issues that are going on, and it has led to this entire FBI investigation and scandal, but I don't think boycotting the Final Four is the way to go about it, or the way we'll see players go about it, or try and take some of that control back from the NCAA. We'll bring in another reaction poll here. What do you think? Do you think players should boycott the Final Four? I've given my thoughts. Now, you give your thoughts in the reactions in the comments. Should players boycott the Final Four or the NCAA tournament, which is the biggest moneymaker for the NCAA? One team who's going to have no problem getting into the NCAA tournament this year, or really in any of the years past, is Gonzaga. They've owned the West Coast conference they've been in since 1979, but they're looking for an increase in competition. A number of reports have said that Gonzaga is in talks to join the Mountain West Conference, which is the home of mid-major powers like Nevada, UNLV, Boise State's in the mix for an NCAA tournament at large berth this year. Adding Gonzaga to that mix would strengthen the Mountain West Conference. Now, the Mountain West is considering 6 schools, but Gonzaga was the only school that was singled out by Commissioner Craig Thompson when he talked about the issue earlier this week. Gonzaga saw what Wichita State did this past season when they went from the Missouri Valley to the American Athletic Conference, and that has really given them a boost in their stature and prestige, and have played a tougher schedule, which has in turn helped their NCAA tournament resume, and seeing them get a higher seed this year than they would have in years past in the Missouri Valley. Gonzaga thinking about following a similar plan here, going from the West Coast Conference, where it's really just them and St. Mary's, and going to the Mountain West Conference, where there's a bit more competition on a nightly basis. Moving on, the NCAA tournament is obviously the big postseason tournament everybody wants to be in, but the NIT has also been around forever, and the NCAA has started using that to sort of implement some experimental rules they're toying with, potentially implementing in the future, and this year is no different. The NIT has announced, or the NCAA has announced, new experimental rules that will be used in the NIT this season. There's a number of major ones. The big one, of course, is that they're going to play 4 10-minute quarters instead of 2 20-minute halves. Women's college basketball has already moved to the 10-minute quarters instead of 20-minute halves. So currently, the men's college basketball is the only level of the sport that are playing halves instead of quarters. So I think that'll be a change we maybe see implemented in the regular games sooner rather than later. They're also expanding the width of the lane from 12 feet to 16 feet, which is the same as the NBA. They're moving the three-point line back only 20 inches, but it's going to be where the FIBA three-point line is, the international three-point line, which is 22 feet and 1.75 inches. So substantial move back, nearly 2 feet, but given the way we've seen teams utilize the three-point line and how short the college three-point line is compared to where it is at the FIBA level and then the NBA level, which is even further back, this is something we're seeing, again, a more standardization of the game at all levels. And then a minor change, but on offensive rebound, they're going to reset the shot clock only to 20 seconds instead of giving teams the full 30. The idea to shorten offensive possessions, and if you already have the ball, shorten the amount of time you have. Instead of giving you a full 30 seconds, they're only giving you 20 seconds.